Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I'm Bob K6UDA, your host on the K6UDA radio show. And in case you hadn't figured it out, this time we're going to talk about installing this bad boy on the back of my Jeep Wrangler. So let's get busy. This time on K6UDA radio. Let's do this. All right, today we are talking about the ATAS 120, the automatic telescoping antenna system from Yaesu. The very first thing you're going to notice about this antenna is there is no external power connector here, so you can't just apply negative and positive power and make the antenna go up and down. It is actually powered through the coax. So there's an SO239 that this will go into. And this is basically a PL259, the end of a coax, but it happens to be built into the bottom of this antenna. All right, guys, here's my shameless plug for ham radio outlet. I bought the mount for this, or my SMA connector for this, at Ham Radio Outlet in Sacramento. Now, Yaesu would be very, very happy if you grabbed a Yaesu radio like this one. This is the FT891, currently in production, but it is an older radio. So I think the new FTX1, which I don't have yet, is gonna take the place of this. I just have a feeling. Anyway, Yaesu devised kind of an ingenious little method of controlling the ATAS antenna. You set up the external tuner for the radio that you're using, and a lot of Yaesu radios will control an ATAS. You set it up, you tell it that it's controlling an ATAS, which means it's now, instead of using a tuner, it's going to tune the antenna. Move the antenna up and down, and it uses coils inside. And it's actually very good at getting between 40 and 10 meters on HF, 6 meters, 2 meters, and 440. But it also will do some other things. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. This is a pretty secure permanent mount here. This is for my counterpoise. The antenna cable rolls right into this wiring loom that goes inside the cab, routes along here. There it is again, comes out here and routes right under the carpet up to the front console. This wiring loom here, you follow this up, it goes up to the top back here. The others go to my rear backup lights and another third brake light up top. It also splits off here behind my spare tire, right up here behind the spare tire. That's my backup camera. In order for me to be able to sit in the Jeep and control the antenna, really kind of get a visual. This is the resting spot here. I made a mark here at 10 meters, made a mark here at 20 meters, and I made another mark here at 40 meters. Those are the main bands that I'm running when I'm running portable. So, of course, that's where I put them. This is my big obstacle. I don't know how this is gonna work. You see, small antenna for the FTM 400 barely scrapes on there. Now we're gonna get to the big one, and I know this is gonna whip. Actually, that wasn't bad. I think I'll keep it on. To get this off, a number 10 AN wrench seems to be about perfect. Yep. We're gonna do a little bit of fender work here. I'm gonna try to grind this down a little bit and just get a little bit better of a ground on here. And put that back on. We'll just do a nice round number, middle of the band. Coming down. You could see it is coming down. Going back up. All right, one thing you are going to notice, this antenna is extremely high Q, which means its point of tuning is super, super narrow. So because you're actually tuning the antenna and not the radio, the antenna really doesn't know what kind of a radio you're using. So, for instance, if you happen to be using something like this is a 40 channel CB, the President Bill FCC, or if you happen to want to use a GMRS radio, the Midland MXT 275 like I have here, the antenna really doesn't know the difference. Now, sometimes when I'm running in the Jeep with a bunch of other Jeepers, not everybody's a ham. Not everybody has a ham radio. So I reach into my bag of tricks and I pull out my GMRS radio. And this one happens to be in the Kawasaki Ridge. We'll do another video on this. This is what I love. This mount is freaking genius. Disconnect my antenna here on the ridge. And you see I have another identical mount. Clicks right in. Got my mic up here. Have my wires and my radio. Oh, but where am I going to plug that power pole into? I throw that power pole right here on my cigarette lighter adapter. Now we're running. Oh, look at that. GMRS repeater. Okay, 6UDA monitoring the GMRS repeater. Anybody around? Anybody listening?
Thursday, mostly sunny. Highs in the mid-80s, except in the mid-70s in the mountains. The current time is 8:33 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time.
Simple, easy setup for GMRS or ham radio in my Jeep. Super versatile antenna. Is it perfect? No. And before you get all butthurt and you start saying, "Oh, but you can't operate there," guys. If you're operating a CB radio, you can operate there. If you're operating GMRS, you can operate there. And for those of you that are screaming, "Why would you run CB or why would you run GMRS?" Let me tell you, I go out with a lot of people that aren't ham radio operators. And some of these groups use CB, some of them use GMRS. A lot of them actually use GMRS, and there's some GMRS repeaters that you can get on and you can use those. Being able to plug my GMRS radio into the Jeep or unplug it and use it in my side-by-side is a huge benefit for me. And because I also use the FTM 400 in the Jeep and I've got a dedicated antenna for that, I'm not really interested in breaking the antenna and breaking that system apart just to hook up GMRS. The ATAS gives me the ability to run GMRS in the Jeep, and I could disconnect it very easily and put HF on there. I could very easily disconnect that and put the CB radio on there and use that. It's all perfectly legal. You're not using a radio that isn't type accepted. You're changing the antenna, and the antenna, my friends, will tune there. I'll show you. All right. Getting it up off the deck. Just a hair. Makes that damn near perfect. And at 467, at 467, 2.9. And change that to an SWR chart again. We'll run it. Yeah, pretty flat across there. That ain't getting real wonderful. These Jeeps, I mean, they've got a nice tin body. It's magnetic. It'll ground. The top is totally made of fiberglass. So you can't put really anything on the roof. Can't do that that good mag mount on the roof. You could do a side mag mount if you wanted, I guess. This is a lot of metal in here. This is a lot of metal. But it's on a hinge. So I take that into consideration, that this is not making the best ground. The next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put a big fender washer under here. I'm gonna connect that to something. I will tie that off, and I will try to get something grounded on there and see if I can't get this antenna grounded a little bit better than it is. As you could see, with the antenna all the way stowed down and with the counterpoise attached to it, we've now got a minimum SWR of 2.2 at 465, which is well within the GMRS band. It's not perfect, but it's acceptable. Brings me to my last point. Controlling the antenna, especially with a non-Yaesu radio. You're gonna need something in between the radio and the antenna. If you could find one of these, this is the MFJ 1925. They were still in stock. The one that was not ICOM specific was out of stock. So I bought the ICOM specific one, cut off the end, and snipped off the other two wires, used the positive and negative, and put power poles on it. Works perfectly to control any of my other radios, including it does a better job with the 891 on 40 meters. First time, every time. The other one is this AX17 Pro. I found this on eBay, and I've done a couple of videos specifically on this antenna tuning device. It's specific for the ATAS. Well, not really specific for the ATAS. It'll work on Tar Heels. It'll work on other antennas. But basically, this simulates what a Yaesu radio would do on a non-Yaesu radio. I've got mine set up for the IC705. And that brings us right back to Studio A to put a bow on this thing and wrap it all up nice and tidy for you, so you can run right out to your favorite retailer and pick one up if you want. The ATAS 120, is it a perfect solution for a Jeep for your mobile installation? No. It's a small footprint. It does what it's meant to do. It does it well, but it's a compromise. I had problems getting the thing to get down into acceptable levels at certain points. And it's very, very touchy. It just is. Some of you are going to bitch about where I mounted this on the Jeep. You're going to say, oh, but you could have put it on the front fender. No, it'll get knocked off on the front fender. You could have put it on the front bumper away from everything. Yeah, I could have, but again, go under a low branch or something, get close to a rock, and that might go away. I get it. Radio wise, where I mounted it is not optimal, but it's a good protected area and I can work with it. And I'm going to try some other things, some other bonding and grounding ideas, and see if I can't get it to work a little bit better. But I wanted a position where the antenna is going to be protected between the rack and the back of the Jeep. The feed line. The feed line isn't a perfect deal. It's short enough that it doesn't make a whole lot of difference, but it does make some difference. And it is a tiny, tiny little feed line. It's not made to push a lot of power out through. What it does for me is it enables me to route those wires very cleanly through the back of the Jeep, through the interior, and not make a mess out of the whole back of the Jeep, which is a big deal to me. I just want to get this out in the open. I paid full boat retail over at Ham Radio Outlet in Sacramento when I was there on one of my trips back to the old country to see my family. Great guys over there. If you have a chance to go visit Ham Radio Outlet in Sacramento, tell them K6UDA says hi. That being said, would I recommend this antenna to you if you're not a Yaesu guy? After I bought this one, I found out about the little Tar Heel 2, and that one does come with an external power jumper. It might actually be a better choice in some instances. I don't know. I have another telescoping antenna, a screwdriver antenna, that I'm going to be checking or testing, and I'll get back to you with that. Maybe do a direct comparison with the ATAS 120. But the ATAS 120, it is a very small and light form factor, which was a big deal for me. Getting in and out of my garage, now that I know that I can do it without hitting the back of the Jeep, without hitting things and screwing up the either the wire, the antenna, or my Jeep, I'm gonna leave that antenna on there pretty much full time. Would I buy it again? Oh yeah. Given what I know, given what I've done, I would definitely buy it again. You're going to have to buy a few other things to use it if you're not using a Yaesu radio. If you are using a Yaesu radio, the antenna's pretty much got you covered. All right, guys, that's it for today. I was going to take you along for a little POTA activation, but man, this has been another long video, so we'll do that on another one. I'm Bob, K6UDA. I'm out of here. 7-3, guys.